Hi, welcome to Manas Shield YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 20. Chapter 4. The Siege of the Divine Tree. Zalario's Resolve. Sylvia immediately sensed the danger, but she had no idea what to do about it. We could escape from the danger by evacuating as much as possible, but there would still be people who would suffer damage. Moreover, if we made a move, Jahl might speed up his action. I was worried about what to do and asked Benimaru for advice, because I expected that the damage would be more widespread. Benimaru, who had been aware of the situation, was able to grasp the situation accurately. That alone is a great achievement, but it does not mean that he came up with a solution. The answer came from the heavens. Collect only Blood Mist with Omisia's ultimate skill King of Wind Heaven Vayu, and use the ultimate skill Heat King Amaterasu to burn only the demon blood. Upon hearing this, Benimaru acted without doubts. There are some things in this world that are better not to pursue too deeply. He had heard this voice when Rimuru connected the energy circuit of Turnnull to him. But Benimaru pretended that he did not notice anything and accepted everything. Everything is in the will of Rimuru-sama. If this heavenly voice is working in Rimuru-sama's favor, I will obey it. Benimaru made such a decision and was active both in front and behind the scenes. He obtained cooperation from Omisia and others, and overcame the difficulty this time, too. Thus, Jahl's plan was thwarted by the efforts of Benimaru, Sylvia, and Omisia. Although Jahl himself was allowed to escape, Benimaru decided that he should not take any chances with his limited resources, and this was the best outcome. When everything was settled, Benimaru collapsed. He saw that Jahl had escaped and relaxed. Sae, perhaps anticipating this, quickly supports him. No wonder, he did such a great job. Omisia's eyes were full of respect as she looked at the unconscious Benimaru, and her words were kind. From Omisia's point of view, Benimaru was a champion who saved Sarian from a crisis. Knowing how hard Benimaru had worked, it was natural for Omisia to react in this way. However, Benimaru sighed. Omisia's work still remained to be done. The most important of these was to deal with Zalario and his army, which was still alive and well. Omisia worried. Jahl's escape has kept the battlefield in a lull. Both sides are waiting to see how the other side will react, and Omisia is wondering whether or not the war should be restarted. Since Benimaru had moved to neutralize Jahl's attack, Zalario's forces had not suffered any damage. In other words, Sarian's forces were slightly worse off than Jahl's. The endgame was not that much of a threat. The end of the army is not that much of a threat, but the two enemy generals are really troublesome, and the troubles are endless. In the first place, it was uncertain whether the enemy would agree to a truce or not. Omisia is thinking at a very high speed, simulating various possibilities, but her worries were soon to be over before the results were known. Dallas and Nice were in charge of the Zalario forces. He and her followers had been defeated in the previous undead elf incarnation race, and their egos had been extinguished. The Thorin class was weak-willed. They had been fighting for a long time. No, on the contrary. It is because of the repetition of the same work for a long time without any change that their souls were worn out and their egos faded away. One of the reasons for this may be that Zalario was a warrior. In contrast is the army of a bear. The camaraderie was strong in a bear's core, and everyone loved a bear. There were many killed in battle, and Oma was the only deputy left, but they were all valiant warriors who were willing to risk their lives for a bear. Zalario's army, on the other hand, was a mechanical force, organized and disciplined. There was no need for ego, and they were mere cogs in a wheel that only did what they were ordered to do, and that is how they achieved results. For this reason, Zalario had few true comrades, and now there are only two. Dallas and Nice. They approached Zalario and asked him the question. That man Benimaru, he seems to have been thinking of protecting us as well. We had to suspend the battle as a result. Zalario-sama, are you sure? We betrayed Feldway-sama, didn't we? Dallas confirmed in a matter-of-fact clerical manner. Nice is considering Zalario and is implicitly asking him about his future policy. Zalario thought that this question was interesting because of the difference in direction. Surprisingly, personalities are born, aren't they? I had not noticed it before, but Zalario's lieutenants also have their own opinions. Zalario was pleased with this act. Ha, you guys are serious. When Zalario smiled, Dallas and Nice were astonished. They were astonished to the point of astonishment. It was no wonder that Zalario's smile had never existed in their memories. Zalario-sama. Is this some kind of a trick or are they testing us? Zalario controls the upset deputies with his hand and spins his words. Calm down. We've decided that further fighting is pointless. What? It was a formal declaration of the end of the battle from Zalario's mouth. Dallas was surprised, but had no objection. He obeys and passes the order on to the entire army. And, nice, I did not betray Feldway. On the contrary. He took my free will away from me, and he has dishonored the trust we have placed in him as a friend. Zalario says this with quiet anger. It was a declaration of farewell. So, from now on, you and Feldway-sama. When Nice asked fearfully, Zalario nodded his head. I have decided to part company with Feldway. This statement made not only Nice but also Dallas gasp. Zalario continued. Fortunately, you guys didn't have the ultimate skill. You have not been given the ultimate enchantment, and you are still free to defend your ego. You may continue to follow me, or you may join Feldway. I will give you a moment to make your choice. Dallas and Nice were confused by this sudden proposal. Wow, you don't need us anymore. Have I made some kind of a mistake? She was upset like that, but Zalario calmed her down. No, he says. I too have been freed from the domination and have realized the importance of freedom. You too should look at the beauty of this world. The two of them looked around again. The sky was cloudless and clear, as if the previous turmoil had been a lie. The sacred tree, protected from the threat of Melum, stands majestically, though its charred bark is still visible. Its branches spread wide as if supporting the sky, and its huge lush green leaves were growing thickly. A pleasant breeze blows over the Zalarios gathered on the leaves. It is a breath of fresh air that blows away old ideas. We are now at truce with the enemies of the insector, who have been enemies for a long time. I was going to follow Feldway as a favor to my friends, but I can't tolerate his way of being. I am going to find a new way of life. Zalario told him. He clearly declared that he was not going to follow him even if he was not righteous. Besides, although Zalario was a warrior, he had no taste for finding new enemies. He was fighting only because he had to, not because fighting itself was his purpose in life. We have been forced to fight for a long time, but maybe it is time to look for something else. Zalario thinks so. And his lieutenants agreed with him. Actually, I have been thinking a lot since I have been inhabiting my undead self. It seems that my body is inhabited by the will of someone else, and if I am allowed to do so, I would like to find a hobby other than fighting. Dallas confided hesitantly. Zalario nodded in agreement. I don't have any particular thoughts about it. Dallas said. I will follow Zalario-sama for the rest of my life. Nice's will is firm. Being useful to Zalario was Nice's only consistent wish. I forgive you. Zalario accepted the offer. Zalario was determined to live freely, but not irresponsibly. He would not abandon those who loved him and those who followed him. If that's the case, so am I. Are you sure? I'll never stop looking for a hobby. Fufufu, it would be fun to find a hobby, but I'm not in a hurry. Let's wait until everyone is settled. That's a good idea, Zalario thought. Their life would go on. It would not be a bad idea to slow down and rethink what they should do. But for that, he needed to lead the world to peace. Then they have found their next goal. The world is so beautiful. And yet, Feldway did not even look at it. Now, Feldway is the one who is disturbing the world. As a friend, Zalario thought that he could not overlook this outrage. Listen. The enemy is Feldway. Let's defeat his delusional ambitions and stabilize the world. Yes. Zalario's army is as united as a cog in a wheel. This time, too, the decision was unanimous. At Zalario's order, all the generals disarmed at once. I don't see any point in further combat, do you? Zalario, who went to Omija alone, said so. Omija agreed with Zalario's statement. I agree. It seems that you did not like the battle either, so let's call it a draw. Omija's statement was tantamount to a declaration that she would not hold the war accountable. Although a ruler should take compensation from the aggressor, Omija made this proposal in order to force an end to the war. The royal family supported this proposal. No, they had no choice but to support it. In effect, the continuation of further fighting was a matter of national survival. Magus is badly damaged, but the magic rider can be repaired. However, if the battle continues, there will be many casualties. The loss of life cannot be compensated for with money, and the nation's strength will inevitably decline. The upheaval by Feldway was expected to continue in the future, and a war effort could not be wasted at this point. Fortunately, no leader was foolish enough not to understand this. The emperor's decision was not disputed, and everyone agreed with it. The summit conference between Omija and Zalario resulted in a successful conclusion of the war agreement. Following this, a declaration of collaboration was issued. Thus, for the time being, Zalario's army was stationed in Serion to prepare for the unprecedented crisis that lay ahead. Looking down from above, Feldway was aware of the entire battlefield. Zalario betrayed me. It was a shock to Feldway. The departure of Zalario, one of his few confidants and old friends, was something Feldway had never imagined. That is why he is mad. Losing Michael and being betrayed by Zalario. It is only after losing him that he realizes how much it meant to him. Are you abandoning me too? Then I will not hesitate anymore. I will prove the existence of God with my life. Feldway's heart is further distorted and broken. Unbeknownst to him, his heart is irreparably broken. What are you going to do, Feldway? Vega asked. This is a very easy thing to do. He lives freely, without any sense of responsibility, for his own purposes and pleasures. Feldway looked at Vega and smiled wryly. Well, everything is going as planned, he says. But, I thought Milam was going to knock down the big tree. It could have gone either way. We could have destroyed it later. Although Zalario's departure was not as planned, it was true that Feldway's plan was intact. So Feldway's confidence is not shaken. The time of doom is near. Any lingering doubts in his mind are gone with the thought of being betrayed by Zalario. It is as if Feldway is now driven by only one purpose. That is why he will not stop. Vega, you're going to work with Dino to conquer the labyrinth. Oh, finally, it's my turn. Vega laughs happily. Mai, who had been standing by his side, stands up at the side of Feldway. Vega and the others cannot leave the Heavenly Star Palace because they have not been given the key. Mai, who has been given a duplicate of the key, is able to send Vega and the others on their way with an instantaneous movement. Incidentally, the key from the other world to the Heavenly Star Palace is also in Feldway's possession. But the key to Heaven's Tower, which leads from the palace to Earth, only belongs to Velzard. Velzard was the only one who had it. However, the Cardinal World is already registered in the key possessed by the Feldway group, so there is no longer any inconvenience for them to move around. Mai and others have duplicated keys in their ultimate enchantment, so they can move to Heavenly Star Palace from anywhere. Mai, for example, has a duplicated key built into the ultimate enchantment. This key is also given to Dino and his friends, but they are not so happy about it. What, me too? Dino's reaction was ignored. Now that Voldora, the biggest player in the labyrinth, is gone, this is the perfect opportunity. No matter what Dino said, the decision would not be reversed. Expect good news. With these words, Vega leaves. Mai led the way, followed by a drooping Dino, and then Pico and Gracia took their leave. Silence fell over the Heavenly Star Palace. Feldway, who remained alone, smiled in a very amused way. It was a big smile with a hint of madness. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.